Twin girls say, "I know you, your photo is on Daddy's phone," to the millionaire, leaving him in shock on that Sunday morning. The sun was barely peeking between the luxurious buildings of Oak Ridge Heights, while Nathan Blackwood maintained his unchanging exercise routine. His footsteps echoed precisely on the immaculate pavement of the exclusive neighborhood, while his mind wandered between numbers, contracts, and pending meetings. At 45, he had acquired everything money could buy: a dazzling mansion, classic cars, trips around the world, and the respect that only economic power can guarantee. However, with each step he took, with each labored breath, Nathan felt an inexplicable void that not even his multiple business achievements could fill. His firm footsteps marked the rhythm of a perfectly structured life, but one devoid of true meaning. The sweat that ran down his forehead was not only the product of exercise, but also of the invisible weight of a loneliness that had become his only constant companion. The streets of the neighborhood were slowly awakening, with some neighbors walking their pedigree dogs and housekeepers starting their Sunday chores. Nathan knew every corner of this privileged area, every house, every perfectly manicured tree. It was his territory, a space where he felt safe and in control, or at least that's what he believed until that moment. Fate, however, had other plans for this seemingly ordinary morning. As he turned a familiar corner, two childish laughs interrupted the monotonous rhythm of his thoughts. They were crystalline laughs, pure, the kind he hadn't heard in a long time in his world of serious adults and calculated conversations. "Look, look, isn't that him?" A girl's high-pitched voice cut through the morning air like an unexpected bell. Nathan slowed his pace, more by instinct than curiosity. In front of him, two identical small figures observed him with a mixture of amazement and joy. They were two girls, twins to be exact, no more than 8 years old, with large brown eyes and black hair, tied back in perfectly symmetrical ponytails. "I know you!" exclaimed one of them, taking a step forward with the confidence that only childlike innocence allows. "Your photo is on Daddy's phone." The statement hit him like a blast of icy wind. Nathan stopped completely, studying the faces of the little ones with greater attention. There was something familiar about their features, something that stirred memories buried under years of absence and silence. "Yes, yes," confirmed the other twin, also approaching. "Daddy has a photo of you, but it's from a long time ago. Now you have more gray hair," she added with the brutal honesty characteristic of children. Nathan felt the world around him momentarily fade. Who were these girls? Why did their father have a photo of him? The questions crowded his mind as he observed the little ones who looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and expectation. "What's your father's name?" he finally asked, with a voice that tried to maintain composure. "Jack," they answered in unison, as if they had rehearsed the response. "Jack Blackwood." The name fell on Nathan like an invisible weight. Jack, his brother. The brother he had distanced himself from so many years ago, for reasons that now, faced with these two little ones, seemed insignificant and vague. "We're Emma and Olivia," continued one of the twins, pointing first to her sister and then to herself. "We live near here, well, not as close as the big houses, but we can walk." Nathan observed the direction the little one pointed. It was towards the opposite side of Oak Ridge Heights, where mansions gave way to more modest houses and less perfect streets. Without thinking twice, and moved by a force he couldn't explain, Nathan found himself following the twins, who now jumped and ran in front of him, as if they had been waiting for this moment all their life. With each step he took after the girls, Nathan felt he was moving away from his comfort zone, from his perfectly ordered and predictable world. The streets became narrower, the sidewalks less cared for, and the buildings lost their luster of opulence. But there was something in the air, in the way the twins guided him with absolute confidence, that prevented him from turning around and returning to his usual routine. Emma and Olivia chattered endlessly as they walked, sharing fragments of their daily life with the naturalness of those who know no social barriers or prejudices. They talked about their school, their friends, their favorite games, and occasionally turned to make sure Nathan was still behind them, as if fearing he might disappear at any moment. Nathan's heart beat faster and faster, and it wasn't because of the exercise. Each step brought him closer to an encounter he had avoided for years, to a part of his life he had decided to ignore in his rise to business success. The twins, oblivious to his inner turmoil, continued guiding him through a maze of increasingly modest streets, until they finally stopped in front of a small but well-maintained house. "We're here," they announced proudly, while Nathan contemplated the simple but dignified facade of what appeared to be his brother's home. A home that, unbeknownst to him, was about to change the course of his life forever. The silence that followed the sound of the doorbell seemed eternal. Nathan, still in his sweat-soaked workout clothes, felt the weight of each second as the twins waited anxiously beside him, exchanging knowing looks. The sound of footsteps approaching from inside the house made his heart race even more. The door opened slowly, revealing a man with a tired but dignified appearance. Jack Blackwood, at 42, was the reflection of a life very different from that of his older brother. His calloused hands and face, marked by hard work, contrasted dramatically with Nathan's polished image. For a moment, the two brothers stood motionless, as if time had frozen in that portal that separated two completely different worlds. "Dad, look who we found!" exclaimed Emma, breaking the heavy silence. "It's the man from the photo on your phone." Jack paled slightly, his eyes scanning his older brother's figure, as if trying to reconcile the image he kept in his memories with the man standing before him. "Nathan," he finally murmured, with a voice that mixed surprise and something deeper, something that seemed like pain. "Jack!" Nathan responded, trying to maintain his composure. Your daughters found me during my exercise routine." "Come in," Jack said after a moment of hesitation, opening the door wider. The girls shouldn't be out in the sun for too long. The interior of the house was modest but impeccably clean. Family photographs adorned the walls, showing happy moments of the twins at different stages of their growth. Nathan noticed that in many of them appeared a woman with a radiant smile, but in the most recent ones, she was no longer present. "Emma, Olivia, go wash your hands and then you can watch TV for a while," Jack instructed his daughters, who after some protests reluctantly obeyed, but not before casting curious glances at their newly discovered uncle. Once alone, the brothers sat in the small living room. The silence between them was dense, laden with years of absence and unspoken words. Nathan observed how his younger brother moved with some discomfort in his own home, as if the successful businessman's presence had altered the balance of his world. "They look a lot like Sarah," Nathan commented, trying to break the ice by mentioning the woman he had seen in the photographs, assuming she was the girl's mother. Jack's face darkened for a moment. "Yes, they have her eyes and her smile. Sarah left us 3 years ago," he responded softly, avoiding painful details. Nathan felt as if he had been punched in the stomach. 3 years. His sister-in-law had passed away 3 years ago, and he didn't even know. How much more had he missed of his brother's life? "Jack, I didn't know." "I'm so sorry," Nathan murmured, feeling that the words were inadequate to express the weight of his absence. "How could you know?" Jack replied with a sad smile. "It's been a long time since our paths separated, hasn't it? You chose your world of companies and luxury, and I chose a different life." Jack's words, although spoken without apparent resentment, hit Nathan with the force of their truth. He observed again the modest but cozy living room, the photographs that told the story of a united family, the crayon marks on some walls that spoke of a house full of life and children's laughter. "Why did you never look for me?" Nathan asked, although deep down he feared the answer. "And why didn't you?" Jack softly countered. "You knew where to find me. I've always lived here, Nathan. While you were building your empire, I was building a home." The sound of children's laughter came from the adjacent room, reminding them of the twins' presence. Nathan realized that his nieces, without knowing it, had torn down the wall he himself had helped build between him and his brother. "Uncle Nathan," called Olivia, poking her head through the door, "are you going to stay and eat with us?" Before Nathan could respond, Emma appeared next to her sister. "Yes, stay." "Dad makes delicious spaghetti on Sundays." The brothers exchanged a glance, and for a moment Nathan saw in Jack's eyes the boy with whom he had shared so many adventures in their childhood before money and ambition separated them. "If your father agrees," Nathan responded, looking at Jack with a mixture of hope and regret. Jack observed his daughters, who looked at him with pleading eyes, and then his brother, who seemed more vulnerable than he had seen him in decades. "We always cook extra on Sundays," he finally said, with a hint of a smile. "Besides, it seems your nieces have many questions for you." The girls celebrated the response with small jumps of joy, while Nathan felt something inside him begin to thaw. This Sunday lunch, so different from his usual meals in luxury restaurants, promised to be the beginning of something new, something that perhaps could fill that void that all his money had failed to fill. The aroma of tomato sauce and fresh herbs filled the small kitchen as Jack moved skillfully between the stoves. Nathan, seated at the kitchen table with the twins, watched fascinated as his younger brother had developed skills he would never have imagined. The girls, for their part, didn't stop bombarding him with questions, each one more direct than the last. "Why had you never come before?" asked Emma, while drawing imaginary figures on the plastic tablecloth. "If you're Dad's brother, shouldn't you come often?" "That's right," added Olivia, leaning forward curiously. "At school, Sophia says her uncle comes every Sunday and brings her candy. Are you going to bring us candy too?" Nathan felt a pang of guilt as he searched for the right words. Jack, with his back to them, seemed to tense as he stirred the sauce, waiting for his brother's response. "Sometimes," Nathan began, carefully choosing his words, "adults make mistakes. We drift away from important people without realizing what we're losing. Like when I got mad at Emma and didn't talk to her for a whole day," interrupted Olivia, trying to understand from her childish perspective. "Something like that," Nathan smiled, grateful for the simplicity with which the girls saw the world. "But adults can be more stubborn and let much more time pass." Jack finally turned around, holding the pot of spaghetti. "The table is ready, girls. Go wash your hands again." As the twins ran to the bathroom, the brothers shared a meaningful look. "They don't have to understand everything now," Jack murmured, starting to serve the plates. "They're still young." Lunch proceeded in a strangely familiar atmosphere, as if the barriers built over years began to crumble between bites. Nathan couldn't remember the last time he had eaten something prepared with so much care. The spaghetti, although simple, had a flavor that no luxury restaurant could match. "This sauce," Nathan commented after his second plate, "reminds me of the one Mom used to make." "It's her recipe," Jack confirmed with a nostalgic smile. "Sarah learned it from her before she left us. Now I prepare it for the girls every Sunday." The twins, who had been unusually quiet while eating, exchanged glances before Emma dared to speak again. "Dad says Grandma was a great cook, but we didn't know her. Do you remember her, Uncle Nathan?" The innocent question caused a momentary silence at the table. Nathan looked at his brother, seeking approval before answering. Jack nodded slightly. "Our mother," Nathan began softly, "was an extraordinary woman. She worked very hard, but always found time to cook for us. Sundays were special, like today. She used to say that food tastes better when you share it with the people you love." "And why did you stop sharing with Dad?" Olivia asked directly, with that brutal, childlike honesty that disarmed any defense. Nathan felt the air escape from his lungs. Jack quickly intervened. "Girls, there are adult things that are complicated to explain. The important thing is that your uncle is here now, isn't it?" "Are you going to stay?" Clara insisted, her big eyes full of hope. Nathan looked around the table at these three people who, without intending to, were removing years of self-imposed loneliness. I'd like to be able to share more Sundays like this if you want." "Yes," exclaimed the twins in unison, provoking an involuntary smile on both brothers. "In fact," Nathan continued, surprising himself, "I was wondering if you'd like to come to my house next weekend. I have a pool and—" "A pool?" interrupted the girls, their eyes shining with excitement. Jack coughed slightly, uncomfortable. "Nathan, it's not necessary to—" "Please, Dad," Olivia pleaded. "We've never been in a real pool." "Only if your father agrees," Nathan clarified, looking at his brother. "You could all come. There's plenty of space and—" "Please, Dad." Now it was Emma who was begging. "We promised to behave." Jack observed his daughters and then his brother. In Nathan's eyes he saw something he hadn't noticed before, a loneliness that begged to be filled, a genuine desire for reconnection. "We'll have to buy them swimsuits," he finally muttered, provoking cries of joy from the twins. As the girls celebrated and made plans, Nathan observed his brother gratefully. It was a small step, but it meant everything. The tomato sauce, the plastic tablecloth, the innocent questions from the girls, everything mixed into an experience that made his luxurious mansion suddenly seem empty and meaningless. "Thank you," he whispered to Jack as the girls cleared the plates, "for letting me in." Jack only nodded, but there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Perhaps, Nathan thought, it wasn't too late to rebuild what had been broken so long ago. The week passed with unusual slowness for Nathan. For the first time in years, executive meetings and financial reports seemed insignificant compared to the anticipation of the coming weekend. He found himself reorganizing his schedule, canceling commitments he previously considered immovable, all to ensure that the visit of his newly rediscovered family would be perfect. At the Oakridge Heights mansion, the service staff watched in bewilderment as their usually distant employer personally involved himself in every detail of the preparation. Nathan inspected the pool cleaning, ordered the purchase of snacks that might appeal to the girls, and even found himself checking the water temperature several times a day. Mr. Blackwood, Maria, his trusted housekeeper for a decade, dared to comment, "I've never seen you so attentive to a visit." Nathan, who at that moment was supervising the arrangement of new towels by the pool, paused. "It's not just any visit, Maria, it's my nieces and my brother." The woman looked at him with a mixture of surprise and understanding. In all her years of service, she had never heard Nathan mention his family. "How old are the girls, sir?" 8 years old, Nathan replied, and an involuntary smile formed on his face. "They're twins, Emma and Olivia, and they're extraordinary, Maria. They have this way of looking at the world." Maria observed how her boss's eyes lit up when talking about the little ones, a glow she had never seen in him, not even during his greatest business successes. Meanwhile, in Jack's modest house, a similar agitation was experienced for different reasons. The twins couldn't contain their excitement as they tried on their new swimsuits, acquired at a local mall store after saving for weeks. "Do you think the pool will be very big, Dad?" asked Emma, twirling in front of the mirror in her new turquoise swimsuit. "What if it has a slide?" added Olivia, adjusting the straps of her own suit, identical to her sister's but in coral color. Jack watched his daughters with a mixture of joy and concern. The visit to Nathan's mansion represented their first contact with a world very different from theirs, a world from which he himself had distanced himself long ago. "Remember what we talked about," he gently reminded them. "No matter how big or luxurious your uncle's house is, the important thing is to be grateful and respectful," the twins completed in unison, repeating the words their father had been instilling in them all week. "And not to ask for anything," added Emma seriously. "And not to touch anything without permission," complimented Olivia. Jack smiled proudly. His daughters, despite their young age, showed a maturity that constantly surprised him. Sarah would be proud of them, he thought with a pang of nostalgia. On Friday night, while the girls slept, Jack found himself looking at an old photograph on his phone. In it, 2 smiling young men posed next to a middle-aged woman, he and Nathan with their mother many years ago. It was the same photo that the twins had recognized in their encounter with Nathan. The sound of his phone pulled him out of his thoughts. It was a message from Nathan. "Everything is ready for tomorrow. The pool water is perfect. Do you need me to send a car to pick you up?" Jack felt a familiar pang of wounded pride, but quickly suppressed it. This wasn't about pride, he reminded himself. It was about his daughters and the opportunity to reconnect with his brother. "Thanks, but we can get there on our own. The girls are very excited," he responded after a moment. Nathan's reply came almost immediately. "I am too. There's something else. Do you remember when Mom used to take us to the water park in the summer?" Jack felt his throat tighten. Of course he remembered. It was one of the few luxuries their mother could afford, saving for months to give them a day of fun. "She always said that happiness isn't in the place, but in the company," Jack wrote. "Exactly," Nathan responded. "Tomorrow, I want the girls to feel that same joy we used to feel. No pressure, no pretenses, just family." Jack looked at the photograph on his phone again. Perhaps, he thought, his older brother had changed more than he had imagined. Or perhaps he was simply rediscovering a part of himself that had been dormant for too long. "See you tomorrow, brother," he finally wrote. "See you tomorrow," Nathan replied. And in those 2 words, both felt the weight of an unspoken promise, the promise of a new beginning. Saturday dawned with clear skies and a gentle breeze, as if the weather itself wanted to contribute to the perfection of the day. In front of the imposing gate of the Blackwood mansion, Jack and the twins waited while the security guard confirmed their arrival over the intercom. "It's like a castle, Dad," exclaimed Olivia, her head tilted back trying to take in the majestic structure that rose before them. Emma, for her part, tightly squeezed her father's hand, suddenly intimidated by the grandeur of the place. "Does Uncle Nathan really live here? Is all this just for him?" Before Jack could respond, the gates began to open automatically, revealing a path of perfectly arranged cobblestones that meandered between meticulously manicured gardens. Nathan was waiting for them at the main entrance, dressed casually but elegantly, a very different image from the man in workout clothes they had met the previous Sunday. "Welcome," exclaimed Nathan, descending the marble steps to greet them. His face lit up upon seeing the twins, who now alternated between shyness and curiosity. "Uncle Nathan," the girls responded in unison, their initial intimidation fading as they recognized their uncle's warm smile. "The house is impressive," Jack commented, trying to maintain a neutral tone as he observed the magnificence that surrounded them. Every detail screamed luxury and power, from the columns at the entrance to the glass windows that reflected the morning sun. "It's too big for one person," Nathan admitted with a self-critical smile. "Come, I'll show you around." "Maria has prepared a special breakfast." The twins followed their uncle with hesitant steps, their small hands intertwined as they crossed the threshold of the mansion. The interior was even more impressive. High ceilings with crystal chandeliers, artwork on the walls, furniture that seemed taken from a decoration magazine. "Who cleans all this?" asked Emma with genuine curiosity, observing her reflection in the polished marble floor. Nathan laughed softly. "Maria and the rest of the staff take care of keeping everything in order. In fact, Maria has been very excited to meet you. She's in the kitchen preparing waffles." "Waffles?" Olivia's eyes lit up. "Like the ones we see on TV?" "Exactly like those," Nathan confirmed, guiding them towards the kitchen, with fresh strawberries, whipped cream, and real maple syrup. The kitchen, although spacious and equipped with state-of-the-art appliances, turned out to be the coziest space they had seen so far. Maria greeted them with a maternal smile and a delicious aroma of vanilla and melted butter that filled the air. "Good morning, little ones," Maria greeted warmly. "Who wants to be the first to try the waffles?" "Me," exclaimed the twins in unison, then looking at each other and laughing. Jack observed as his daughters settled at the kitchen island, their feet dangling from the high stools, while Maria served the freshly made waffles. The scene had something surreal about it. His little ones, accustomed to simple breakfasts in their modest kitchen, now sitting in this dream kitchen. "This is delicious," exclaimed Emma, with a whipped cream mustache above her upper lip. Nathan, leaning on the counter, observed the scene with a mixture of joy and nostalgia. "You know, Jack, this is the first time in years that I've heard children's laughter in this house." "It's a very quiet house for being so big," commented Olivia between bites, with the characteristic sincerity of children. "You're right," Nathan admitted, sitting next to them. "That's why I'm so glad to have you here today." Meanwhile, Maria discreetly placed a cup of coffee in front of Jack, prepared exactly as Nathan had indicated his brother liked it, black with a touch of cinnamon, just as he used to take it when they were young. "You still remember?" Jack murmured, surprised by the detail. "There are many things I remember, brother," Nathan responded quietly. "More than you think." Breakfast proceeded amid laughter and animated conversations, with the twins asking questions about every object they saw in the kitchen. Maria, delighted with the little ones, patiently answered each question while continuing to prepare more waffles. "And the pool, Uncle Nathan?" Emma finally asked after her second waffle. "Can we see it?" "Of course," Nathan smiled. "But first we should wait a bit after eating. How about I show you the rest of the house in the meantime?" "Yes!" exclaimed the girls, jumping from their seats with renewed energy. As they toured the mansion, each new room elicited exclamations of wonder from the twins. The private movie theater, the two-story library, the game room that Nathan had specially prepared for them. Each space revealed not only his material wealth, but also the care with which he had prepared everything for their visit. "Uncle Nathan," Olivia suddenly asked, stopping in front of a wall full of photographs, "why aren't there any photos of children here?" "In our house, Dad has photos of us everywhere." The innocent question caused a momentary silence. Nathan looked at his brother before answering. "Well, maybe it's time to change that. What do you say if we take lots of photos together today?" "Yes," the girls responded enthusiastically. "And we could put up some old photos too," Nathan added, looking meaningfully at Jack. "I have some albums stored from when we were kids. You and Dad when you were little." Clara's eyes opened with curiosity. "Can we see them?" "After the pool," Nathan promised. "Now, who wants to see the backyard?" As the twins ran towards the door leading to the garden, Jack approached his brother. You've thought of everything, haven't you? I want to do it right this time, Nathan responded sincerely. They have made me realize all that I've been missing. The sound of the girls' laughter floated from the garden, calling them to join them in this new adventure that was just beginning. The pool was a mirror of crystalline water that reflected the blue sky of that perfect morning. The twins, already in their new swimsuits, stood at the edge holding hands, contemplating with amazement the expanse of turquoise water in front of them. "Is it very deep?" asked Emma, unconsciously squeezing her sister's hand. "It has different depths," Nathan explained, who had changed into a sporty swimsuit. "This part," he pointed to the nearest area, "is the shallow zone. You can touch the bottom without any problem." Jack, seated on one of the luxurious lounges, observed the scene attentively. He had insisted on not getting into the water, arguing that someone should keep watch, but the truth was that he felt out of place in this luxurious environment. "Come on, Dad," Olivia insisted. "The water looks delicious." "Yes, Dad," Nathan added with a knowing smile. "Or have you forgotten how to swim? I remember you were quite good at the public pool in the neighborhood." The mention of those distant days brought an involuntary smile to Jack's face. The public pool. Mom used to take us every summer. 3 times a week, Nathan continued, while approaching the edge of the pool where the twins were still hesitating. "She said it was important for us to learn to swim. You never know when you'll need to save yourself or someone else, remember?" "Did Grandma teach you to swim?" asked Olivia, momentarily distracted from her nervousness. "No," Jack responded, finally standing up from the lounger. "She worked too hard to be able to teach us herself, but she saved for months to pay for swimming lessons." "She was an extraordinary woman," Nathan murmured, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Then, changing to a more cheerful tone, he addressed the twins. "What do you say if I show you some games your dad and I used to play in the pool?" The girls nodded enthusiastically, although they still didn't dare to enter. Nathan got into the water first, demonstrating that it was indeed safe. "Come on, the water is perfect." Olivia was the first to venture, sitting on the edge and slowly putting her feet in. Emma followed her immediately, as she always did when her sister took the initiative. "It's warm," exclaimed Olivia in surprise. "It has a heating system," Nathan explained, "so we can use it all year round." Jack, who had finally approached the edge, couldn't help but think of the contrast with that public pool of their childhood, where the water was always cold and sometimes too chlorinated. However, the laughter was the same. Little by little, the twins gained confidence in the water. Nathan taught them to float on their backs, gently supporting their small backs, while they looked at the sky with a wondrous expression. "Mom used to say that swimming is like flying in the water," Emma commented suddenly while floating. A momentary silence fell over the pool. It was the first time the girls had spontaneously mentioned Sarah during the visit. "Sarah loved to swim," Jack said softly, finally entering the water. "She was a swimming instructor for a while, did you know?" "Really?" the twins asked in unison, straightening up in the water. "That's how we met," Jack continued, approaching his daughters. "I was working on maintenance at the pool where she gave lessons." Nathan observed the interaction with a mixture of fascination and sadness. There was so much he didn't know about his brother's life, so many important moments he had missed. "And why did she stop giving lessons?" asked Olivia. "Because you two arrived," Jack responded with a tender smile. "She decided to dedicate herself fully to being a mom. She was an exceptional woman," Nathan intervened, although he had never had the opportunity to really know her. "It shows in how wonderful you two are." The twins smiled at the compliment, but their eyes reflected a shadow of sadness that no child should know so early in life. "You know what game we loved when we were kids?" Nathan asked, trying to lift the mood. "It was called the Sunken Treasure. I brought some special coins we can search for at the bottom of the shallow part." "I want to try," exclaimed Emma, the sadness momentarily forgotten. "Me too," added Olivia. As Nathan organized the game, Jack observed him with a new perspective. His older brother, the successful businessman, was there in the water, teaching his daughters the same games that had brightened their own childhood. Perhaps, he thought, money and success hadn't changed Nathan as much as he had believed. Laughter and shouts of joy filled the morning air, mingling with the sound of water and memories of a past that was slowly beginning to heal. After nearly 2 hours of water games, the group found themselves on the covered terrace, wrapped in soft, fluffy towels that Maria had provided. The afternoon sun was beginning to warm up more intensely, and the aroma of lunch being prepared in the kitchen wafted over to them. "Can we see the old photos now, Uncle Nathan?" Emma asked while drying her hair with the towel. Nathan exchanged a glance with Jack before responding. "Of course, in fact, I have the albums right here." He got up and went to a nearby cabinet, from which he extracted several carefully preserved photo albums. "I can't believe you kept them," Jack murmured, recognizing the worn covers of the family albums. "It was the only thing I took from the house when—" Nathan paused, aware of the attentive little ears surrounding them. "When I decided to move out." The twins ran over excitedly as their uncle opened the first album. The first photograph showed two smiling boys, about 8 and 5 years old, next to a woman with a tired but loving expression. "Look, Olivia," Emma exclaimed. "It's Dad when he was a kid. And that's your Uncle Nathan," Jack added, pointing to the older boy. "This photo was taken in the park near our house. Do you see the lady? That's your grandmother Mary." The girls observed the image of their grandmother with fascination, looking for some resemblance to themselves in her features. "She has your smile, Emma," Nathan observed softly. "And your eyes, Olivia." "Why does she look so tired?" Olivia asked, noticing the dark circles under her grandmother's eyes. The brothers shared a meaningful look. "Your grandmother worked very hard," Jack explained. "She had 2 jobs to support us." "And Grandpa?" Emma asked innocently. A tense silence fell over the group. Nathan quickly turned the page of the album, revealing more photographs of the brothers at different stages of their childhood. "Look at this one," he said, pointing to an image where they both appeared in new school uniforms. "It was our first day of school after Mom got a better job." The twins, instinctively perceiving that it was better not to insist on the subject of their grandfather, focused on the new photographs. "Dad wore glasses," Olivia laughed, pointing to a photo where Jack, about 12 years old, was wearing thick glasses. "I lost them in a fight," Jack remembered. "Nathan got in trouble for defending me that day." "You used to fight, Uncle Nathan?" Emma asked, surprised. "Only when necessary," Nathan responded, his voice soft but firm. "Like when someone messed with my little brother." Jack gently touched a photograph where the 3 of them, he, Nathan, and their mother, appeared at what seemed to be a graduation. "This was your last day of high school, wasn't it?" Nathan nodded. "Mom had saved for months to buy me that suit. And 2 weeks later, you got the college scholarship," Jack added. "The scholarship that changed everything," Nathan murmured, more to himself than to the others. The twins, absorbed in the photographs, didn't notice the tension that had arisen between the brothers. They continued turning pages, asking questions about each image, each moment captured in time. "Why aren't there any more photos after this one?" Olivia asked, reaching the end of the first album. Nathan carefully closed the album. "Because sometimes, little one, adults make mistakes. We let circumstances separate us from the people we love the most. But you're here now," Emma said with the simplicity of childlike innocence. "And we can take new photos, right?" "Of course, my love," Nathan responded, his voice slightly cracked. "Many new photos." "In fact," Maria intervened, who had silently appeared on the terrace, "lunch is ready. What do you say we take a photo all together before eating?" The twins jumped excitedly at the idea. Nathan pulled out his phone from his pocket, but Jack stopped him. "Wait," he said, pulling out a modest digital camera from his backpack. "I prefer to use this one. It was Sarah's. She always said that the best memories deserve more than a cell phone photo." Nathan nodded, understanding the meaning behind that gesture. Maria offered to take the photograph while the family arranged themselves, the twins in the center, flanked by their father and their uncle, with the garden and the pool as a backdrop. "Say family," Maria indicated. And as the shutter captured that moment, both Nathan and Jack felt that they were beginning to write a new chapter in their family history, one where the mistakes of the past could finally begin to heal. The main dining room of the Blackwood mansion, with its mahogany table that could easily accommodate 20 people, seemed too formal for a family lunch. That's why Nathan had insisted on eating on the covered terrace, where the atmosphere was more relaxed and the twins could feel more comfortable. Maria had prepared a variety of dishes that mixed sophistication with simplicity: orange chicken, rice with sautéed vegetables, and a fresh salad. To everyone's surprise, she had also prepared lasagna. "What? Lasagna?" Jack asked, immediately recognizing the aroma that brought back memories of his childhood. "I asked Maria to prepare Mom's recipe," Nathan explained, while helping to serve the plates. I took the liberty of looking in the old recipe book I kept. You still have the recipe book? The surprise in Jack's voice was evident. Nathan nodded. It's a bit worn, but the recipes are still there. Even the notes Mom used to write in the margins. Dad makes lasagna too, exclaimed Olivia while settling into her chair. But his is different. Because that's how your mom liked it, Jack explained softly. Sarah preferred a different sauce. A contemplative silence fell over the table as everyone began to eat. The twins, however, were quick to break it with their natural curiosity. Uncle Nathan, Emma began after trying a bite, why do you have such a big house if you live alone? The innocent question almost made Nathan choke on his drink. Jack tried to intervene, but his brother stopped him with a gesture. That's a good question, Nathan responded after a moment. I guess for a long time I thought having a big, luxurious house was a sign of success. But the truth is, he paused, searching for the right words. Sometimes big houses can be the loneliest places in the world. Is that why you never visited us before? Olivia asked, with that direct childlike honesty that disarmed any defense. The brothers exchanged a tense look. Maria, sensing the delicacy of the moment, discreetly excused herself to go prepare dessert. No, my love, Nathan responded gently. I didn't visit before because I made mistakes. Mistakes that I'm now trying to correct. What kind of mistakes? Emma insisted. The kind of mistakes adults make when they're too proud, Jack intervened, surprising Nathan. When they let money and success become more important than family. But also when they let pride prevent them from asking for help, Nathan added, looking directly at his brother. The twins observed the exchange attentively, their young minds trying to process the complexities of adult relationships. Like when Emma and I fought over the last chocolate, and then neither of us wanted to apologize, Olivia asked, trying to understand. An involuntary smile appeared on both brothers' faces. Something like that, Nathan responded. But adults can be much more stubborn than you. And sometimes, Jack continued, we let years pass before admitting our mistakes. But you're here now, Emma said, addressing her uncle. And we can eat lasagna together. And swim in the pool, Olivia added. And look at old photos. And take new photos. The simplicity with which the girls viewed the reconciliation made something stir in Nathan's heart. You're right, he said, looking at his brother. Sometimes we need someone to remind us of what's truly important. Sarah used to say something similar, Jack commented, absently stirring his food. She said that life is too short to let pride rob us of the moments we could share with the people we love. She was a wise woman, Nathan murmured. I wish I had known her better. She would have liked that too, Jack responded, and for the first time in years, Nathan could see in his brother's eyes not reproach but a genuine sadness for the time lost. Maria returned at that moment with a chocolate cake that made the twins' eyes light up, breaking the tension of the moment. As she served the portions, Nathan noticed how the afternoon light bathed the scene in a golden glow, as if the universe itself wanted to underscore the importance of this moment of reconciliation. The girls' laughter, the aroma of the lasagna, the shared memories. Everything mixed into a symphony of healing that was just beginning. After lunch, while Maria cleared the plates, the twins convinced Nathan to show them the rest of the mansion they hadn't yet explored. Jack followed them at a prudent distance, observing how his older brother interacted with his daughters with a naturalness that surprised him. What's behind that door, Uncle Nathan? Emma asked, pointing to an elegant dark wood door at the end of a hallway on the second floor. Nathan hesitated for a moment. It's my study, where I work when I'm at home. Can we see it? Olivia's eyes sparkled with curiosity. I don't think that's a good idea, Jack intervened, noticing his brother's hesitation. There must be important documents. No, it's okay, Nathan interrupted, pulling a key from his pocket. In fact, there's something there that perhaps you should see. The study was an impressive room with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with books and folders. A mahogany desk dominated the center of the room, and behind it, a series of framed photographs decorated the wall. Look, Dad, Emma exclaimed, running towards one of the photographs. It's Grandma. Jack approached, surprised. Indeed, on the wall of Nathan's study, among photographs of important corporate events and handshakes with powerful people, there was a portrait of their mother, smiling with that mixture of weariness and determination that always characterized her. It's on my desk too, Nathan said softly, opening one of the drawers and taking out a smaller frame. In this photo, Mary Blackwood appeared younger, holding two small children in her arms. "Why did you never tell us about Grandma, Dad?" Olivia asked, while examining the photograph carefully. "Because sometimes," Jack responded with a trembling voice, "even happy memories can hurt." The twins continued exploring the study with childlike curiosity, while the brothers remained silent, each lost in their own thoughts. Suddenly, a cry of excitement startled them. "Look what I found," Emma exclaimed, pointing to something on one of the lower shelves. It was an old metal box, decorated with faded stickers and small dents that spoke of years of use. Nathan recognized it immediately, and by the expression on Jack's face, he did too. "The treasure box," Jack murmured, approaching. "I can't believe you still have it," he added as Nathan carefully took the box. "What is it?" the twins asked in unison. Nathan placed the box on his desk and opened it carefully. Inside was an eclectic collection of objects, marbles of different colors, some old baseball cards, a worn-out yo-yo, and several carefully folded yellowed papers. "This was our treasure box," Nathan explained. "So your dad and I used to keep all the things we considered important when we were kids here. Like this," Jack said, pulling out one of the folded papers. It was a childish drawing of two boys and a woman, with the words, "My family," written in shaky handwriting. "You drew it," Nathan remembered. "The day Mum got her second job. You said you wanted her to see it when she came home tired, to remember why she worked so hard." The twins observed the drawing with fascination, while Jack continued pulling objects out of the box. A small trophy from a school math competition that Nathan had won, a sports medal that Jack had received in elementary school, an envelope with the logo of the university that had changed their lives. "Why did you keep all this, Uncle?" Olivia asked, carefully holding an old instant photograph where the brothers appeared smiling next to a birthday cake. Nathan looked at his brother before answering, "Because sometimes when the present becomes too lonely, we need to remember where we come from, who we were before life separated us, and who we can become again," Jack added softly. Emma pulled something else out of the box, a yellowed newspaper clipping. "What's this?" Nathan took the clipping with trembling hands. It was an article about the inauguration of his first successful company. In the photograph, he appeared alone, dressed in an elegant suit cutting a red ribbon. "This was the day I thought I had achieved success," he said with a broken voice. "But look at me in the photo. I'm alone. I didn't invite Mom or Jack to the inauguration. I thought they wouldn't fit into this world I was building." A heavy silence fell over the room, interrupted only by the sound of paper being manipulated as the twins continued exploring the contents of the box. "But now we can take new photos," Emma said, repeating the words she had said before. "And everyone can be together in them. Like a real family," added Olivia. The brothers looked at each other, and at that moment, surrounded by the treasures of their childhood and the innocent wisdom of the twins, they felt that something was beginning to heal inside them. The discovery of the treasure box had stirred something deep within the Blackwood brothers. While the twins continued to explore its contents with childlike fascination, Nathan found himself observing his study with new eyes. The walls, covered with university degrees, business awards, and photographs of corporate events, now seemed strangely empty of true meaning. "Uncle Nathan," Emma called, holding another newspaper clipping, "why did you keep this sad news?" Jack quickly approached and took the clipping before Nathan could see it. It was their mother's obituary. The brothers exchanged a look laden with pain and guilt. "There are things the girls don't need to see right now," Jack murmured, carefully folding the paper. "You're right," Nathan responded, and then, addressing the twins with a forced smile, he added, "What do you say we go to the home theater? We can watch a movie and eat popcorn." "Yes," the girls exclaimed in unison, momentarily distracted from their family archaeological exploration. As they put the objects back in the box, Nathan noticed how his hands trembled slightly. Each photograph, each object, each piece of paper was a reminder of everything he had sacrificed in his pursuit of material success. "Maria," he called through the intercom, "could you prepare popcorn and bring it to the theater room, and maybe some sodas and candy for the girls?" "Of course, Mr. Blackwood," Maria's voice responded. "Would you like me to prepare coffee for you and Mr. Jack as well?" "Yes, please, with cinnamon for your brother, I know," Maria completed with a smile in her voice. The twins ran excitedly towards the theater room, followed by Jack. Nathan stayed behind for a moment, looking at the treasure box one last time before closing it. "Nathan," Jack called from the study door. "Are you coming?" "Yes, just—" Nathan hesitated for a moment. "Do you remember when Mom used to take us to the movies on Sundays? Only when there was a children's movie because it was cheaper. And she'd buy one large soda to share," Jack continued, leaning against the doorframe. "She said it taught us how to share." "She taught us much more than that," Nathan murmured. "Shame I forgot her most important lessons." "It's never too late to remember," Jack responded softly. The sound of children's laughter reached them from the hallway, where the twins were waiting impatiently. Nathan looked at his study once more, his eyes lingering on the symbols of his business success. "You know," Nathan began as they walked towards the theater room, "I've been thinking, this house is too big for one person." "Nathan, no, listen, there's a new housing project near the community center where the girls go. I was thinking about—" "Dad, Uncle Nathan, hurry up," Olivia interrupted, peeking out from the hallway. "Maria already brought the popcorn." The conversation was suspended as they entered the theater room, an intimate but luxurious space with large reclining chairs and a screen that covered the entire wall. The twins had already taken possession of the central seats, their eyes shining with excitement at the trays of candy and popcorn that Maria had prepared. "What movie do you want to watch?" Nathan asked, approaching the entertainment system. "A princess one," Emma exclaimed. "No, better an adventure one," Olivia contradicted. "How about we watch something that everyone will like?" Maria suggested, who hadn't yet left. "There's a new movie about a family that learns the value of staying together through a great adventure." The twins looked at each other before nodding enthusiastically. Nathan programmed the movie while Jack settled between his daughters, who immediately cuddled against him. As the lights dimmed and the movie began, Nathan observed his brother and his nieces. The scene was so different from the lonely afternoons he used to spend in this same room, watching movies alone, just to distract himself from the silence of his big, empty mansion. "Come, Uncle Nathan," Emma called, patting the empty seat beside her. "Sit with us." Nathan settled next to his niece, who immediately rested her head on his shoulder. The aroma of freshly made popcorn, the girls' laughter, the comforting presence of his brother, everything mixed into a feeling of home that he had forgotten existed. And as the movie progressed, the idea that had begun to form in his mind continued to grow. Perhaps it was time to do more than just family visits. Perhaps it was time for a deeper and more permanent change. The family movie had ended, but its message about the importance of family ties resonated deeply with Nathan. As the twins excitedly commented on their favorite scenes, he observed how the late afternoon light began to filter through the mansion's windows, tinting everything with a warm golden hue. "We should be going," Jack commented, noticing the time. "The girls have school tomorrow." "No, Dad, please," Olivia pleaded. "Just a little longer." "Just a bit more," Emma added, making her best puppy dog eyes. Nathan, who had remained unusually silent since the end of the movie, cleared his throat. "Before you go, I'd like to show you something else." He guided the family to a terrace on the third floor of the mansion, a space he rarely used. From there, the view of the city was spectacular. The setting sun painted the sky in pink and orange tones, while the first city lights began to twinkle in the distance. "How beautiful!" exclaimed Emma, running towards the railing. "Careful!" Jack warned automatically, approaching his daughters. Nathan leaned on the railing, his gaze lost on the horizon. "Do you see that area over there?" He pointed to an area of the city. "That's where the community center you go to is located." The twins nodded, trying to locate the place in the distance. "I've been thinking," Nathan continued, now looking at his brother, "that maybe it's time to make some changes." "What kind of changes, Uncle?" Olivia asked, curious. Nathan smiled softly. "Well, for example, I've noticed that this house is too big for me alone, and it's very far from you." Jack looked at him with a mixture of surprise and concern. "Nathan, if this is because of what we saw in your study—" "It's not just because of that," Nathan interrupted. "Although yes, finding that treasure box made me think a lot. But it's more than that. Today, seeing the girls swim in that huge pool, sharing lunch, watching that movie together, I realized something important." "What did you realize, Uncle?" Emma asked, her big eyes fixed on him. "I realized that I've been measuring success with the wrong ruler," Nathan responded, crouching down to be at eye level with his nieces. "All of this," he made a gesture encompassing the mansion, "means nothing if you're alone." But you're not alone anymore, Olivia said with the simplicity of childlike innocence. You have us. Exactly, Nathan smiled, feeling a lump in his throat. And that's why I want to be closer to you. I've been looking into some places near the community center. Nathan, Jack interrupted, you don't have to do this. You don't have to change your whole life just because... It's not just for you, Nathan responded, standing up. It's for me too. This house, this lifestyle, it doesn't represent me anymore, not after today. Not after remembering who I was before money became more important than family. The twins listened to the exchange attentively, their young minds processing the meaning of their uncle's words. Are you going to live near us? Emma asked hopefully. I'd like to, Nathan responded, if your dad is okay with it. Jack looked at his older brother, searching his eyes for any sign of doubt or regret. He only found determination and something else, hope. The neighborhood isn't like Oakridge Heights, Jack warned. There are no mansions or Olympic-sized pools. But it's full of life, Nathan responded, of real families, of children playing in the streets, of true community. Like the neighborhood where we grew up. The sun had almost completely set, and the city lights shone more and more intensely. A soft breeze moved the twins' hair, who continued to look alternately at their father and their uncle, waiting for the outcome of this conversation. Besides, Nathan continued, I've been thinking about the community center. It has potential, but it needs support. Maybe I could... Yes, the twins exclaimed in unison, understanding what their uncle was suggesting. Girls, Jack warned, don't get too excited. Your uncle needs to think about this carefully. It's a very important decision. I have thought about it, Nathan responded firmly. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to contact some real estate agents. And I also want to visit the community center, meet the director, see how I can help. The twins began to jump with excitement, but Jack remained serious. Are you sure about this? Nathan looked one last time at the city skyline, the lights shining like earthly stars. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Monday afternoon found Nathan parking his luxury car in front of the Living Hope Community Center, a modest but well-maintained building that contrasted dramatically with the corporate skyscrapers where he usually spent his days. He had traded his usual designer suit for more casual clothes, though he still felt out of place in this environment. The sound of children's laughter and music came from inside the building. Through the windows, he could see groups of children participating in different activities. Among them, he recognized Emma and Olivia in what appeared to be an art class. Can I help you? A female voice pulled him from his observations. Nathan turned to find a woman in her 40s, dressed simply but elegantly, with her hair pulled back in a casual bun and a look that conveyed both authority and warmth. I'm Nathan Blackwood, he introduced himself, extending his hand. Emma and Olivia's uncle. Ah, the famous Uncle Nathan, the woman smiled, shaking his hand. The girls haven't stopped talking about their weekend. I'm Rachel Henderson, the center's director. There was something about her direct way of speaking, in the firmness of her handshake, that immediately caught Nathan's attention. She didn't show the deference he was accustomed to when mentioning his name in business circles. I'd like to know more about the work you do here, Nathan explained. My nieces speak wonders of the center. The twins are extraordinary girls, Rachel responded, guiding him into the building. They've been part of our family since... She paused for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Since Jack needed extra support with their care. Nathan nodded, understanding the veiled reference to Sarah's loss. As they walked through the hallways, Rachel showed him the different areas. Classrooms where volunteers helped with school assignments, a small gym where dance and sports classes were taught, a modest but cozy library. All of this works thanks to donations and volunteer work, Rachel explained, stopping in front of the art room where the twins were painting intently. It's not much, but it's extraordinary, Nathan interrupted, observing how different groups of children participated in activities that clearly kept them off the streets and gave them a sense of purpose. Emma has a natural talent for art, Rachel commented, pointing to the twin who was currently mixing colors with surprising skill for her age. And Olivia is extraordinary in music. If we had more resources... What do you need? Nathan asked directly. Rachel looked at him with a mixture of surprise and caution. Mr. Blackwood, Nathan, please. Nathan, she corrected. We appreciate any help, but I wouldn't want you to feel obligated just because your niece is—" "It's not an obligation," he interrupted gently. "In fact, I'm considering moving to this neighborhood." The surprise on Rachel's face was evident. "Leave Oak Ridge Heights for this neighborhood?" "Life takes interesting turns," Nathan responded with a smile. "Besides, I'd like to get more involved in the community. Maybe I could help here, not just with money, but with time and experience." Rachel studied him for a moment, as if evaluating his sincerity. "Do you know anything about community programs?" "Absolutely nothing," Nathan admitted honestly. "But I know about administration, finances, and I have contacts that could be useful. And more importantly, I'm willing to learn." At that moment, Emma noticed his presence and ran towards them, her hands stained with paint. "Uncle Nathan, look what I'm painting." Olivia followed her immediately, and soon Nathan found himself being dragged towards the art room, where the twins proudly showed him their creations. Rachel observed the scene with interest. The businessman who had entered the center minutes before, with his air of barely disguised uncertainty, now smiled genuinely as the girls explained their paintings to him, not caring that his expensive shirt was in danger of getting stained with paint. "Classes end at 6, Rachel commented, approaching again. "If you want, we can discuss some ideas afterward. There's a modest but decent cafe around the corner." Nathan looked up from his niece's drawings, meeting Rachel's direct gaze. "I'd love to," he responded, and for the first time in a long time, he felt he was exactly where he needed to be. "But with one condition," Rachel added with a challenging smile. "No grandiose plans until you really understand how a community center works from the inside." "Sounds fair," Nathan nodded, as the twins continued showing him their artwork. "I'm here to learn." The Pete's Corner Cafe was a small but cozy establishment with checkered tablecloths and the persistent aroma of freshly brewed coffee. For Nathan, accustomed to luxury restaurants and executive boardrooms, it represented a refreshing change. Rachel guided him to a table by the window, from where they could see the busy street and the community center building. "Pete," Rachel called to the owner, an older man with a white apron. "The usual, please." "And for the gentleman?" Pete asked, looking curiously at the elegant visitor. "The same as her," Nathan responded, not knowing exactly what he was ordering. Rachel smiled. "Prepare yourself to try the best cinnamon coffee in the city, and Pete's tamales are legendary in the neighborhood." Tamales? Nathan couldn't remember the last time he had eaten something so common. "If you intend to become part of this community," Rachel commented, noticing his expression, "you'll have to get used to simple pleasures." The comment, although said lightly, carried a significant weight that didn't go unnoticed by Nathan. "About that," he began, "I want you to know that my intentions are serious. It's not a whim or a way to alleviate guilt for the years I was absent from my brother's life." Rachel studied him for a moment while Pete served 2 steaming cups of coffee. "And what is it then?" Nathan breathed in the aroma of the coffee, surprised by how familiar it felt. "You know, my mother used to prepare coffee like this with cinnamon. She said it gave it a taste of home." "You haven't answered my question," Rachel insisted gently. "You're right." Nathan took a sip of coffee before continuing. "The truth is that since I reconnected with my nieces, something has changed in me. Or maybe I just woke up from a long slumber. I've spent years measuring success in terms of numbers in a bank account, but today, seeing those children at the center, hearing their laughter—" "Money helps," Rachel interrupted. "I'm not going to pretend we don't need resources, but it's not the only thing these children need." "I know," Nathan nodded. "They need time, attention, love. They need to know there are adults who believe in them, who support them, like what you're doing now with Emma and Olivia." "I'm trying to make up for lost time," Nathan admitted, "but it's not just about them. Today, observing the center, I realized how many children are in similar or even more difficult situations." Pete arrived with the tamales, momentarily interrupting the conversation. The aroma of masa and red sauce filled the space between them. "Tell me more about the center," Nathan asked while trying the tamale, surprised by its authentic flavor. "How did it all start?" Rachel smiled, and for the first time Nathan noticed small wrinkles around her eyes, marks of a life dedicated to smiling despite difficulties. "The center started 10 years ago, in the basement of the local church," she explained. "I was a teacher in a public school and saw how many children had nowhere to go after classes. Their parents worked long hours, like your mother." Nathan looked at her surprised. Jack has told me some things, she clarified, about your mother, about how she raised you alone. There are many mothers like that in this neighborhood, Nathan. Fathers, too, like Jack after losing Sarah. Did you know Sarah? Nathan asked softly. Yes. Rachel lowered her gaze to her coffee cup. She was a volunteer at the center. She gave swimming lessons in the summer, when we managed to take the children to the public pool. The twins practically grew up here after she stopped. But it wasn't necessary to complete the phrase. Nathan felt a pang of guilt thinking about all the important moments he had missed. The center grew little by little, Rachel continued, changing the subject. We got the current building 5 years ago thanks to donations and a lot of volunteer work, but we always need more resources. There's so much we could do. Tell me, Nathan asked. I want to know everything. The problems, the dreams, the pending projects. And so, as the afternoon progressed and Pete served more coffee, Rachel shared her vision of the center. The art programs that needed materials, the music classes that lacked instruments, the tutoring program that required more trained volunteers, the dream of having a more complete library. Nathan listened attentively, taking mental notes, but also observing the passion with which Rachel spoke about her work. There was something magnetic about her dedication, in the way her eyes shone when describing the achievements of her children. You know, Nathan finally said, I think I've been looking for something like this all my life without knowing it. A purpose beyond accumulating wealth. Rachel looked at him with a mixture of hope and caution. Community work isn't easy, Nathan. It's not like running a company. The results aren't measured in growth charts. No, he smiled, they're measured in smiles like my niece's, in children who discover their talents, in families who find support when they need it most. Welcome to the real world, Rachel said, raising her cup in a small toast. Nathan responded to the gesture, feeling that he had just taken the first step on a path that would change his life forever. The following days passed in a whirlwind of activity. Nathan had completely reorganized his schedule, delegating responsibilities in the company to be able to dedicate his afternoons to the community center. To Rachel's surprise, he didn't arrive with grand promises or grandiose plans, but with a humility that didn't match his image of a successful businessman. Are you sure you want to start like this? Rachel asked, watching as Nathan, dressed in jeans and a simple t-shirt, organized books in the center's small library. Completely, he responded, dusting off an old copy of Don Quixote. I need to understand how everything works from the inside. The library was a modest space with worn shelves and a limited collection of books. However, Nathan had noticed how children frequented it, hungry for stories and knowledge. Emma told me you read stories to the little ones, Nathan commented, remembering the conversation with his niece. Rachel smiled, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. 3 times a week. It's my favorite time of the day. Can I stay and listen today? The question took Rachel by surprise. Does businessman Nathan Blackwood want to sit on the floor with a group of 5-year-olds? Uncle Nathan wants to learn from the best, he responded, with a smile that made Rachel look away, suddenly aware of the warmth radiating from his presence. Storytime turned out to be a revelation for Nathan. He watched fascinated as Rachel transformed the small room into a magical world with just her voice and expressions. The children, seated in a circle around her, looked at her with adoration as she brought each character to life. Did the prince live in a house as big as yours, Uncle Nathan? A little voice suddenly asked. It was Michael, one of the twins' closest friends. Well, Nathan responded, surprised by the question. Some big houses can be very lonely. Sometimes a small house full of love is better. Rachel looked at him with a mixture of surprise and approval. It wasn't the answer she expected from the owner of a mansion in Oak Ridge Heights. After the reading session, while the children dispersed for other activities, Nathan and Rachel stayed organizing the books. You have a gift with children, Nathan commented. And you have more potential than you think, she responded. Your answer about big houses, and it was perfect. I just told the truth, Nathan shrugged. I've been thinking a lot about that lately. In fact, he hesitated a moment before continuing. This morning I contacted a real estate agent. Rachel stopped arranging books and looked at him directly. Are you serious about moving to the neighborhood? I found an apartment not far from here. It's much smaller than my current house, but closer to your niece's, Rachel completed. And to the center. And to the people who are starting to matter to me, Nathan added, holding her gaze for a moment that seemed to extend beyond time. The sound of children's laughter from the hallway broke the moment. The twins appeared at the library door, their faces lighting up when they saw their uncle. "Uncle Nathan!" exclaimed Emma. "Are you going to stay for our art class?" "Of course," he responded, grateful for the interruption. "In fact, I was thinking, Rachel, what do you think about renovating the library a bit? Nothing extravagant, just some new shelves, more books, maybe a more comfortable reading corner." "Nathan, and before you say anything," he continued, "it's not a corporate donation. It's personal. I want to help, but in your way, step by step." Rachel studied him for a moment, noticing how the twins looked at him with adoration. "All right," she finally conceded, "but with one condition." "Which one?" "That you keep coming to story time. The children are already getting attached to you." Nathan felt a warmth expand in his chest. "It's a deal," he responded, extending his hand. Rachel shook it, and for a moment neither seemed to want to let go. The twins exchanged knowing looks, with that childlike intuition that often sees beyond the obvious. "Can we go paint now?" Olivia asked, breaking the moment. "Of course," Rachel responded, finally releasing Nathan's hand. "Your uncle will accompany us, right?" "I wouldn't miss the opportunity to see the next great artists in action," Nathan smiled, following the girls towards the art room. As they walked down the hallway, Nathan couldn't help but notice how the afternoon light came through the windows, illuminating Rachel's face with a golden glow. And for the first time in a long time, he felt he was exactly where he needed to be. On Friday afternoon, Nathan was waiting for his brother at Pete's Corner Cafe. He had deliberately chosen this place over any elegant restaurant for the conversation he was about to have. Jack entered punctually, still dressed in his work uniform, and his expression turned curious when he saw his older brother in such a modest environment. "Nathan Blackwood at Pete's Corner?" Jack joked, sitting across from his brother. "The world is changing. More than you can imagine," Nathan responded, as Pete approached with 2 cups of cinnamon coffee, as if he had been expecting this moment. "The girls have told me you've been coming to the center every day," Jack began, studying his brother's face. "Rachel mentioned it too." "About that." Nathan took a sip of coffee, organizing his thoughts. "I need to tell you something important." "You're worrying me," Jack frowned. "Is everything okay?" "Better than okay," Nathan smiled. "I've made some decisions. First, I'm going to sell the mansion." "What?" Jack almost spilled his coffee. "Nathan, if this is because of what happened last weekend—" "It's not just because of that," Nathan interrupted. "Or maybe it is, in part. That weekend made me realize many things. But there's more. I've found an apartment here in the neighborhood." "Here?" Jack looked around, as if suddenly the modest neighborhood was a strange place. "Are you going to leave Oak Ridge Heights for this?" "This place has more life in one street than all of Oak Ridge Heights combined," Nathan responded with conviction. "Besides, I'll be close to you, to the center." "To Rachel?" Jack added with a knowing smile. Nathan felt a warmth rise up his neck. "Am I that obvious?" "The girls noticed it first," Jack laughed. "Emma told me that you and Rachel look at each other like in princess movies." "She's an extraordinary woman," Nathan admitted. "But it's not just that. The center, the children, the work they do there, it's made me remember who I was before money became the most important thing in my life." Jack observed his brother in silence for a moment. "Do you remember when you wanted to be a teacher?" "You remember that?" Nathan was surprised. "Of course I do. Of course. It was your dream before business school, before you decided you needed to be rich to—" Jack stopped, aware that he was touching on sensitive topics. "To not end up like Mom," Nathan completed softly. "Working 2 jobs, exhausted, always worried about money. I thought that if I became rich I could protect my family from that. What an irony, isn't it? I ended up distancing myself from all of you in the process. But now you're back." Jack put a hand on his brother's arm. "And the girls are happy to have their uncle in their lives." "There's something else," Nathan continued. "I've been talking with Rachel about creating a foundation. Something formal to support not just the center, but other similar community projects." "A foundation?" "Yes, but I don't want to do it alone. I'd like you to be involved too." "Nathan, I don't know anything about foundations or—" "But you know the community," Nathan interrupted. "You know their needs, their struggles. You've been here all this time, while I was living in my bubble of luxury. I need your perspective, your experience. Pete approached with 2 plates of tamales, winking at Nathan as if approving the conversation he was overhearing. "Are you sure about this?" Jack asked after a moment. "It's a very big change. I've never been more sure of anything in my life," Nathan responded. "The other day, during story time at the center, one of the children asked me about living in a big house. And you know what? For the first time, I could see my life from the outside, see how empty it really was." "Rachel told me about that," Jack smiled. "She said your answer surprised everyone." "Rachel tells you many things, huh?" Nathan joked. "She's a good friend," Jack responded seriously. "She's been with us in very difficult times. After Sarah, I don't know what I would have done without her support." Nathan felt a pang of guilt. "I should have been there." "You're here now," Jack squeezed his brother's arm. "And if Rachel has managed to make the great Nathan Blackwood want to live in a normal apartment and eat tamales instead of caviar, she must be something special." "She is," Nathan murmured, an involuntary smile forming on his lips. "All of this is. The center, the children, the community. It's as if I've finally found my place." "Welcome home, brother," Jack said, raising his coffee cup in a toast. "Welcome to real life." The community center's library looked different that Saturday afternoon. The old shelves had been removed, and the empty space promised a transformation. Nathan had insisted on personally participating in the renovation, and now he was there in jeans and an old t-shirt, working alongside a small group of volunteers. "I still can't believe that businessman Nathan Blackwood is painting walls," Rachel commented, entering with 2 cups of coffee. "Your company's board of directors would have a fit if they saw you like this." "Probably," Nathan laughed, putting down the brush to accept the coffee. "But you know what? I've never felt more useful." The space was beginning to take shape, the newly painted walls in warm tones, the new wooden shelves waiting to be installed, and in a corner, several boxes with carefully selected new books. "The twins are excited about the reading corner they designed," Rachel commented, pointing to a space where they would install colorful cushions and a soft rug. "Emma and Olivia have a natural talent for this," Nathan responded proudly, "though I think they're more excited about being able to inaugurate the space at the next story time." Rachel approached one of the book boxes, running her fingers over the new spines. "These aren't just children's books." "No," Nathan confirmed. "There's educational material, reference books, literature. I want this space to serve everyone. Children, teenagers, adults who want to keep learning. Like you," Rachel pointed out softly. Nathan looked at her, noticing how the afternoon light coming through the window illuminated her profile. "I have a lot to learn," he admitted, "about the community, about what really matters." "You're doing a good job," Rachel approached, leaning against the freshly painted wall. "The children adore you, especially after you told them that story about your mother in the public library." "They told you about that?" Nathan smiled, remembering the moment. "Everyone is talking about how the twins' uncle explained to them that his grandmother took them to the library because books are windows to other worlds, and that it doesn't matter where you come from. Reading gives you wings." "Mom used to say that," Nathan murmured. "She took us to the public library every Saturday without fail. It was her way of giving us opportunities, even though she didn't have money for much else." "And now you're doing the same for other children." Rachel put her hand on Nathan's arm, a simple gesture that sent an electric current through his body. "With one difference," he responded, turning to look at her directly. "I'm not alone in this." The moment extended between them, charged with meaning. Rachel was the first to break eye contact, though a soft smile remained on her lips. "I have a surprise for you," she said, heading to one of the boxes she had brought. "I found it in a used bookstore." She pulled out a worn book, its cover faded but still legible. "The Little Prince." "How did you know?" Nathan took the book with trembling hands. "Jack told me it was your favorite when you were kids, that you read it over and over at the public library, until the librarian gave it to you on your birthday." "I lost it during the move to college," Nathan murmured, leafing through the yellowed pages. "I never bought another copy. I guess I convinced myself I was too old for children's stories." "You're never too old to remember that what is essential is invisible to the eye," Rachel quoted. Nathan looked up from the book, meeting Rachel's eyes. "Thank you," he said softly. "Not just for the book, but for helping me see what's essential again." A noise in the hallway broke the moment. The twins came running in, followed by a group of curious children who wanted to see the progress of the library. "Uncle Nathan," Emma exclaimed. "We brought more volunteers." Indeed, behind the children appeared Jack, also dressed for work, along with some parents from the center. "We thought you might need help," Jack explained, looking meaningfully at the way his brother and Rachel were close to each other. "There's always room for more help," Rachel responded, regaining her professional composure, although a slight blush colored her cheeks. "I want to paint," Olivia exclaimed. "And I want to help with the books," Emma added. Soon the space filled with activity and excited voices. Nathan observed how the community naturally came together to create something beautiful, something that would benefit everyone. Rachel organized the volunteers efficiently, assigning tasks and ensuring that even the smallest ones had something to do. And as he held the little prince in his hands, Nathan understood that he had found much more than a community project. He had found a new purpose, a new family, and perhaps something more that he didn't yet dare to name, but that made his heart beat with renewed hope. The afternoon of the renovated library's inauguration arrived with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. Nathan had insisted that it be a community event, not a formal ceremony. The transformed space shone with new life, polished wooden shelves full of colorful books, the reading corner with vibrant cushions designed by the twins, and murals painted by the center's children decorating some walls. "It's like a dream come true," Rachel murmured, standing next to Nathan at the entrance as they watched families begin to arrive. "When I started at this center, I didn't even dare to imagine something like this." "You made this possible," Nathan responded. "I just provided the resources. You kept the dream of a worthy library for these children alive long before I appeared." Rachel looked at him, with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper that neither of them dared to name yet. "You've given us much more than resources, Nathan. You've given your time, your heart." "Uncle Nathan," Emma's voice interrupted the moment. "Can we show everyone our special corner?" The twins, dressed in their best clothes for the occasion, were practically vibrating with excitement. They had spent the last week helping to organize the books and decorate the space, feeling an important part of the project. "Of course, little ones," Nathan smiled. "In fact, I think it's time to start." The community gathered in the renovated library. Parents, children, center volunteers. Even Pete had closed his cafe early to attend. Jack was there, watching proudly as his daughters prepared to be part of the presentation. Rachel stepped forward to speak, but Nathan noticed that her hands were shaking slightly. Without thinking, he took one of her hands and squeezed it gently in support. She returned the squeeze before releasing it and addressing the audience. "Welcome to our new community library," Rachel began, her voice firm despite the emotion. "This space is much more than shelves and books. It's a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together, when we dream big but start with small steps." Nathan observed from the side, moved by the way Rachel connected with each person present. She wasn't the typical director of an organization giving a formal speech. She was a woman who had dedicated her life to building a better community, one book at a time. But this transformation wouldn't have been possible without someone who came to our center a few weeks ago and showed us that miracles begin with a simple, "I want to help," Rachel continued, turning towards Nathan. "Someone who taught us that true success isn't measured in numbers, but in smiles and fulfilled dreams." Nathan felt a lump in his throat as the gazes turned towards him. It wasn't the attention he was used to in the corporate world. This was warmer, more real. "And now," Rachel continued with a smile, "our dear Emma and Olivia will show us their special reading corner, designed by themselves for the little ones." The twins guided the children towards the reading area, enthusiastically explaining how they had chosen each cushion, each color. Nathan approached Rachel while the others followed the girls. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving me the opportunity to be part of this." Rachel turned to him, her eyes shining with contained emotion. "Thank you for showing me that sometimes modern fairy tales do exist. The successful businessman who rediscovers his heart thanks to two little twin girls. And an extraordinary community center director," Nathan completed, taking her hand again. This time they didn't let go. They remained like that, in a corner of the library, while the excited voices of the children filled the space. Jack observed them from afar, a knowing smile on his face. "Rachel," Nathan began softly, "there's something I need to tell you." But at that moment Olivia appeared running. "Aunt Rachel, Uncle Nathan, you have to come. We're going to read The Little Prince, and we want you to read it together." They looked at each other, a silent conversation passing between them. Some things could wait. This moment, this celebration of community and hope, was more important. As they walked towards the reading corner, their hands still intertwined, Nathan felt that each step brought him closer to the life he should have always had. A life where success was measured in moments like this, in genuine smiles and intertwined hands, in small everyday miracles that made everything worthwhile. After the inauguration, when families began to leave and children said goodbye with excited hugs, Rachel found herself organizing the last details in the library. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange tones that filtered through the windows. Nathan had stayed to help, although most of the volunteers, including Jack and the twins, had already left. "It was a perfect day," Rachel commented, adjusting some cushions in the reading corner. "It's not over yet," Nathan responded, approaching with a small basket. "Would you like to go up to the roof? Pete sent us something special to celebrate." Rachel looked at him surprised. The center's roof was her personal refuge, a place where she used to go to think when she needed a moment of peace. "How did you know about the roof?" "The twins told me it's your secret place," Nathan admitted with a smile, "where you go to look at the stars when you need to remember why you do all this." Rachel felt a warmth expand in her chest. That Nathan had paid attention to that small detail meant more than she could express. The roof was a simple but cozy space. Rachel had placed some potted plants and 2 old chairs she had rescued from the teacher's lounge. The view of the city wasn't spectacular like that of Oak Ridge Heights, but it had its own urban beauty, honest and real. "Sarah and I used to come here," Rachel commented, as Nathan spread out a blanket and began to take out the contents of the basket. "After volunteer meetings, we would stay talking for hours." Nathan paused for a moment. "Can I ask you something about Sarah?" Rachel nodded, sitting on the blanket. Nathan served 2 cups of Pete's special coffee, with a touch of cinnamon, of course. Did she ever talk about me? Did she know about the estrangement with Jack?" Rachel took a sip of coffee before responding. "She understood more than everyone thought. She told me once about the last time she tried to contact you, when the twins were born." Nathan closed his eyes, the pain of the memory visible on his face. "The secretary in my office turned her away. I was in an important meeting and gave instructions not to be interrupted. I never knew she had tried to contact me until weeks later, and by then pride was stronger," Rachel completed softly. "Pride, shame, fear." Nathan looked at the sky, where the first stars were beginning to appear. "Sarah tried to be the bridge between Jack and me, didn't she?" "She believed in family," Rachel responded. "She said the twins deserved to know their uncle, the brother their father missed so much, even though he wouldn't admit it. And now she's—" Nathan stopped, unable to complete the phrase. "She's in every smile of the girls," Rachel completed, putting her hand on Nathan's. "In the way Emma paints just like her. In how Olivia hums while reading as Sarah used to do." They remained silent for a moment, their hands intertwined, the night sky unfolding above them. "You know," Nathan began, turning to look directly at Rachel, "when I first came to the center, I thought I was coming to help, to do something good with my money and my time. I didn't expect—" "What didn't you expect?" Rachel asked softly when he stopped. "I didn't expect to find a home," Nathan responded. "I didn't expect to discover that the void in my life couldn't be filled with business successes or bank accounts. I didn't expect to find you." Rachel felt her heart racing. "Nathan, let me finish, please," he asked, gently squeezing her hand. "When I first saw you, I thought you were intimidating. A woman who had dedicated her life to helping others, who wasn't impressed by titles or money. And then I saw you with the children, with my nieces, and I understood that your strength comes from the purest love I've known. I had my prejudices too," Rachel admitted with a small smile. "The millionaire businessman who surely just wanted a charity project for his resume. But then I saw you sitting on the floor, reading stories to the children, working with your own hands in the library. And now we're here." Nathan moved closer, his eyes reflecting the stars shining above them. "Under the same stars that Sarah and I used to look at," Rachel whispered. "She always said that stars are witnesses to the most important promises." "Then let them be witnesses to this one," Nathan responded, moving even closer. "I promise that you're not alone in this. In the center, in your dreams of helping more children, In everything. If you allow me to be by your side, Rachel didn't let him finish. She closed the distance between them and kissed him softly, a kiss that tasted of coffee with cinnamon and promises under the stars. When they separated, both were smiling. Sarah would be happy, Rachel murmured. She always said that love has mysterious ways of uniting people. And the twins will be delighted, Nathan added with a soft laugh. Emma asked me the other day if I had already asked you to be my girlfriend. Rachel laughed, resting her head on Nathan's shoulder. And what did you tell her? That some things take time, he responded, hugging her. But that when they're right, you know it in your heart. The news of the romance between Nathan and Rachel spread through the community center like a wave of contained joy. The twins were the first to express their excitement explosively during the Sunday breakfast at Jack's house. I knew it, Emma exclaimed, jumping from her chair. I knew Uncle Nathan and Rachel loved each other like in the movies. Does this mean Aunt Rachel will come to our house more often? Olivia asked, her eyes shining with hope. Jack observed the scene with a mixture of amusement and concern. Girls, remember that Rachel has many responsibilities at the center. But now Uncle Nathan helps her, Emma interrupted. And we can help more too, right? Nathan and Rachel exchanged knowing looks from across the table. It was their first family breakfast since they had decided to make their relationship public, and the twins' reaction was more enthusiastic than they had expected. In fact, Nathan began, clearing his throat, there's something else we want to tell you. Everyone at the table fell silent, expectant. The apartment I was looking at, Nathan continued, I bought it. It's 3 blocks from the community center and... Are you going to live near us? The twins interrupted in unison. Yes, but there's more. Nathan took Rachel's hand on the table. We're going to expand the center, create a formal foundation that can help more children, more families. Jack put his coffee cup on the table, with more force than necessary. Nathan, are you sure about this? It's a very big change, very fast. Jack, Rachel intervened gently, I understand your concern, but this isn't a whim or a hasty decision. It's just that... Jack hesitated, looking at his daughters who were following the conversation attentively. I don't want anyone to get hurt if things don't work out. A tense silence fell over the table. The twins, sensing the tension, looked at each other worriedly. Dad? Olivia called in a low voice. Are you angry with Uncle Nathan? No, my love, Jack responded, softening his expression. I'm just worried. Sometimes adults are afraid, Nathan completed. Afraid that happiness won't last, that good things will end. Like what happened before. Rachel squeezed Nathan's hand, understanding the weight of his words. But we must also have the courage to try, to trust. Like when we learned to swim, Emma said suddenly. We were afraid, but Aunt Rachel taught us that sometimes you have to be brave. The adults were surprised by the wisdom in the little girl's words. Besides, Olivia added, Uncle Nathan already promised he wouldn't leave again, and he keeps his promises, right? Nathan felt a lump in his throat. Yes, little one. This time I'm not going anywhere. Jack observed his brother for a long moment before speaking. Sarah always said that second chances are gifts we shouldn't waste. She was a very wise woman, Rachel smiled, her eyes moistening slightly. So, Jack continued, I guess you'll need help with the move. The tension at the table dissipated like clouds after a storm. The twins returned to their previous enthusiasm, now making plans to help decorate their uncle's new apartment. We can paint a mural in your living room, Emma suggested. And put lots of books like in the center's library, Olivia added. Nathan laughed, grateful for the simplicity with which the girls saw the world. Of course I'll need your help. All of you. And about the foundation, Rachel added. We'll need a strong team, someone who really knows the community. Jack raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting that you be part of the project? Yes, Nathan confirmed. Your experience, your connection with the neighborhood families, it's invaluable. The twins applauded excitedly at the idea of their father also being part of the project. We'll have to think it through carefully, Jack warned. Plan every detail. Of course, Nathan nodded. But we'll do it together. As a family, Rachel observed the scene with her heart full of hope. The community center that had been her life for so long was about to transform into something bigger, more meaningful. And the best part was that she wouldn't have to do it alone. Can we go see your new apartment after breakfast, Uncle? Emma asked. It's still empty, Nathan responded. Better, Olivia smiled. That way we can imagine where everything will go. Like a blank canvas, Emma added, always thinking in artistic terms. Exactly, Rachel nodded. A new beginning. Nathan's new apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old but well-maintained building. Although it was considerably smaller than his mansion in Oak Ridge Heights, it had a special charm. High ceilings, large windows, and a balcony that offered a perfect view of the nearby park. It's like a tiny castle, Olivia exclaimed upon entering, her footsteps echoing in the empty space. Emma was already running from room to room, her eyes shining with artistic possibilities. Uncle Nathan! This wall would be perfect for a mural of trees and birds. Nathan smiled, observing how the twins transformed the empty space with their imagination. Rachel, at his side, intertwined her fingers with his. It's perfect, she murmured. It has soul. Like everything in this neighborhood, Nathan responded, gently squeezing her hand. Jack had stayed on the balcony, his gaze lost in the view of the park where they used to play as children. You know, Mom used to bring us to that park on Sundays. She said it was our little piece of heaven on earth. I remember. Nathan joined his brother on the balcony. I never understood why she liked it so much until now. Look at that. Below in the park, entire families shared Sunday picnics. Children played on the swings. Teenagers practiced with their skateboards. Elderly people conversed on benches under the trees. It was a perfect portrait of community life. Dad! Uncle Nathan! Emma called from inside. Come see what we've planned. The twins had used their drawing notebooks to make sketches of how each room could look. Emma had designed a mural for the living room that combined natural elements with symbols of family unity. Olivia had drawn what would be the study, with bookshelves and a special reading corner, similar to the one in the center's library. And here, Olivia pointed in her drawing, we can put photos of everyone like the ones we found in the treasure box. And new ones too, Emma added. Of the library, the center, all of us together. Rachel crouched down to get a better look at the drawings. They're beautiful, girls. You have a real talent for design. Like their mother, Jack commented softly. Sarah always had a special eye for making any space feel like a home. Nathan noticed how his brother's eyes moistened slightly. Without hesitation, he put a hand on his shoulder. I wish she could see this. She is seeing it, Rachel responded, her voice full of conviction. In every smile of the girls, in every moment we share. The twins, perceiving the emotional moment, ran to hug their father. Don't be sad, Daddy, Emma whispered. I'm not sad, my love, Jack responded, hugging his daughters. I'm grateful for having you, for having my brother back, for Rachel, for the family we are now, Nathan completed. And for the mural we're going to paint, Olivia added, making everyone laugh. About that, Nathan cleared his throat. I have an idea. What do you say if we do this together? The move, the decoration, everything. We could dedicate weekends to transforming this space. Yes, the twins exclaimed. We could start with a basic coat of paint, Jack suggested, entering practical mode. Then the essential furniture. And we'll leave the mural for last, Emma completed, like the cherry on top. Rachel observed the scene with her heart full. This family, which had been fragmented for so long, was now planning a future together, room by room, dream by dream. You know what we need now? Nathan asked suddenly. A picnic in the park, like the ones Mom used to make. Yes, the twins jumped excitedly. Pete must be open, Rachel suggested. We could buy some tamales. And coffee with cinnamon, Jack added with a smile. As they went down the building stairs, Nathan stopped for a moment to look back. The empty apartment waited to be filled not only with furniture, but with laughter, with love, with shared moments. It was smaller than his old mansion, but for the first time in his life he felt he was building a true home. Are you coming? Rachel called from below. Yes, he responded, reaching her and taking her hand. Home. The first weekend of work in the apartment began early. Nathan had obtained all the necessary materials, paint, brushes, rollers, and at Rachel's suggestion, plenty of masking tape so the twins could help without worrying too much about mistakes. We're here, the girls announced, entering with Jack. Each wore a small painter's smock that Rachel had given them, decorated with their names in colorful letters. And we brought reinforcements, Jack added, as several volunteers from the community center entered carrying coffees and pastries from Pete's cafe. Nathan, who was already covered in paint despite having started just a short while ago, smiled at seeing the small crowd. "This is turning into a community event. This is how we do things in this neighborhood," Rachel responded, distributing brushes and rollers. "We help each other." The main living room was the first target. The twins had chosen a soft shade of blue for the walls, like the sky on a happy day, according to Emma. While the adults took care of the higher parts, the children concentrated on the lower areas, their small hands handling the brushes with surprising care. "Look, Uncle Nathan," Olivia called, pointing to her work. "Am I doing it right?" "Perfectly," he responded, crouching down to see the progress. "You have a talent for this, just like your sister. Mum was very good at painting too," Emma commented without stopping her work on her section. "Dad says she decorated our whole house." A soft silence fell over the room. Jack, who was nearby, paused for a moment, his brush suspended in the air. "It's true," he finally said. "Sarah had a special gift for making any space feel like a home. She used to say that colors have the power to change how we feel. That's why we chose blue," Emma explained seriously, "because we want Uncle Nathan to feel calm and happy in his new home." Rachel approached Nathan, noticing how his eyes moistened slightly. "The girls have their mother's wisdom," she whispered, "and their father's heart," Nathan added, looking at his brother gratefully. The work continued amid laughter, conversations and small paint accidents that only made the moment more memorable. Pete appeared mid-morning with more coffee and tamales, insisting that the workers needed to keep up their strength. "This place already feels different," one of the volunteers commented during the lunch break. "It has life." "It's because we're doing it with love," Olivia responded with the simplicity of her childlike innocence, provoking smiles from all those present. As the day progressed, Nathan observed how his new home was taking shape, not just from the fresh paint on the walls, but from the people who were helping to build it. Each brushstroke, each laugh, each shared moment added a layer of meaning that no professional decorator could have achieved. "What are you thinking about?" Rachel asked, noticing his contemplative look. "About how life takes turns," he responded, putting an arm around her shoulders. "A few weeks ago I was living in a perfect but empty mansion, and now I'm here covered in paint, surrounded by people I barely know but already feel like family. That's what makes this neighborhood special," Rachel smiled. "It's not the buildings or the streets, it's the people, the bonds we create." "Uncle Nathan," Emma suddenly called, "can we start planning the mural now?" "We've finished this wall. First we have to let the paint dry well, my love," he responded, approaching his nieces, "but we can start making sketches." The twins ran to get their drawing notebooks, excited to share their ideas. Soon, everyone was sitting on the floor of the half-painted apartment, surrounded by sketches and dreams for the future. "I want to draw a big tree," Emma explained, showing her design, "with many branches and leaves of different colors." "And why a tree?" Nathan asked with genuine curiosity. "Because trees grow and become stronger," she responded, "like our family. And the branches can be all the people who help us grow." Nathan looked around, at Rachel, who smiled with pride, at Jack, who listened to his daughter's explanations with bright eyes, at the volunteers who had dedicated their Sunday to help a newcomer to the neighborhood. They were all branches of that tree that Emma had imagined, all part of this new life he was building. "It's perfect," he finally said, hugging his nieces. "Absolutely perfect." 3 weeks after starting the renovation, Nathan's apartment was almost finished. The mural designed by Emma dominated the main living room, a majestic tree whose branches extended across the wall, each representing a different aspect of his new life. Family photographs, both old and new, decorated the branches as if they were leaves, telling the story of a family that had found its way back. "It's incredible how a space can tell a story," Rachel commented, sitting next to Nathan on the new sofa as they observed the mural in the late afternoon light. "Emma has a gift," Nathan responded. "She captured exactly what all this means. Each branch, each detail. Like that one," Rachel pointed, indicating a branch where they had placed a recent photograph of the community center team. "It represents the future we're building." Nathan straightened slightly, remembering the reason he had invited Rachel that afternoon. "About that, I received important news today." Rachel turned to look at him, noticing the seriousness in his tone. "What's going on?" "The board of directors of my company," Nathan began, "finally approved the creation of the foundation, We can start the formal process of expanding the center. Rachel's eyes lit up, but Nathan also noticed a flash of concern. It's wonderful news, but you're afraid it will change the essence of the center, he completed, already knowing her concerns. Exactly, she nodded. These children, their families, they don't need a corporate community center. They need a home, a place where they feel safe and valued. That's why I want us to follow the model you've already created, Nathan explained. The foundation will only provide the resources and legal backing. The essence, the heart of the center, will remain the same. At that moment, the doorbell rang. It was Jack and the twins, who had been invited for a special family dinner. "Uncle Nathan!" the girls exclaimed as they entered, immediately running towards the mural. "You put the photo we took in the park." "Of course," he smiled. "It's one of my favorites." Jack observed the mural attentively, noticing the new details his daughters had added. "Every time we come, there's something new. Like life itself," Rachel commented. "Always growing, always changing." During dinner, which Maria had specially prepared and sent from the mansion, which had not yet been sold, Nathan shared the news about the foundation. "Does that mean the center will be bigger?" Olivia asked, her eyes shining with curiosity. "It means we'll be able to help more children," Rachel explained, "but maintaining what makes the center special. Like when we plant a new tree without uprooting the old ones," Emma added, always thinking in artistic metaphors. "Exactly," Nathan smiled, "and that's why we need all of your help. Jack, I want you to be part of the foundation's board of directors." Jack almost choked on his drink. "Me? But I don't know anything about foundations." "You know the most important thing," Rachel intervened. "You know the community. You understand their real needs. That's worth more than any university degree." "Besides," Nathan added, "who better than someone who has lived through the transformation that the center can achieve in a family?" The twins observed the conversation attentively, their young minds processing the meaning of these changes. "Can we keep helping at the center?" Emma asked. "I like giving art classes to the younger ones. And I want to continue in the choir," Olivia added. "Of course you can," Rachel responded warmly. "The center will always be your second home." "Like this apartment," Olivia said, looking around. "Which is also a second home." Nathan felt a lump in his throat. "This is your home as much as it is mine," he said. "Always." "And speaking of homes," Rachel took Nathan's hand, gathering courage, "there's something else we want to tell you." The twins leaned forward in anticipation, while Jack smiled, intuiting what was coming. "Rachel and I," Nathan began, "have been thinking that maybe it's time to share more than just work at the center." "Are you going to get married?" Emma asked directly, provoking nervous laughter from the adults. "Not yet," Rachel responded, blushing, "but we're thinking about living together." "Here?" The silence that followed was broken by the shouts of joy from the twins, who immediately began to make plans about how to help Rachel move in and where they would put her things. "Are you okay with this?" Nathan asked his brother, while the girls bombarded Rachel with questions. Jack looked around, the mural that told their family story, the photographs that captured moments of happiness, the space that had become a symbol of second chances. "I think it's perfect," he finally responded. "Sarah would be happy to see this." The community center was buzzing with activity on that Saturday morning. The plans for the expansion were spread out on a table in Rachel's office, while a diverse group of people, from architects to parents, discussed the project details. "The idea is to maintain the essence of the place," Rachel explained, pointing to different areas on the plans. "But we need more space for workshops, a larger library and a specific area for artistic activities. And a music room," Olivia added from her corner, where she and Emma were drawing their own versions of the future center. Nathan observed the scene with a mixture of pride and humility. Dressed in jeans and a casual shirt, no one would have guessed he was the same businessman who once lived isolated in his Oak Ridge Heights mansion. "The backyard could be turned into a community garden," Jack suggested, who had taken his role on the board of directors with a dedication that surprised everyone. "Many of our children have never seen a plant grow from seed. Like the tree in our mural," Emma commented, looking up from her drawing. "We can plant real trees." The simplicity and depth of Emma's observation made everyone pause for a moment. Rachel approached to see the twins' drawing. "This is beautiful," she said, observing how the girls had imagined the renovated center. "Can we include some of your ideas in the official plans?" The architect, an old friend of Nathan's, who had offered his services for free, smiled. Of course, sometimes children see possibilities that adults overlook. At that moment, Pete entered with a tray of coffee and pastries. "I thought the dream builders might need energy," he commented with a smile. "Pete," Nathan called, "have you considered our proposal about the center's cafe?" The old man nodded thoughtfully. A branch of Pete's Corner inside the center. Who would have imagined? But with one condition. "Which one?" everyone asked. "That the profits go towards scholarships for the center's kids, and that we can provide jobs and training for young people who need it." Rachel exchanged an excited look with Nathan. It was exactly the kind of initiative they had dreamed of. Projects that not only helped, but empowered the community. "And I could teach how to make coffee with cinnamon," Pete added, winking at Nathan. "The coffee that united our family," Rachel murmured, squeezing Nathan's hand. The twins approached the table with their finished drawings. In them, the center wasn't just a bigger building, but a space full of life. Children playing, adults learning, plants growing, music and art everywhere. "Look," Olivia pointed in her drawing. "Here's the new library with the reading corner like Uncle Nathan's. And here," Emma added, "a mural that we can all paint together, like the one in the apartment." "You see this space here?" the architect intervened, pointing to an area in the official plans. "We could create a gallery to exhibit the work of the center's children. A space where the community can see and celebrate their talent." Emma's eyes lit up. "Like a real museum." "Better," Rachel responded. "A museum of our community, of our dreams." Nathan observed how everyone leaned over the plans, contributing ideas, sharing visions. This was the kind of success he had never experienced in his years as a businessman. Success measured in smiles, in shared hopes, in transformed futures. "You know what we need?" Jack suddenly said. "Music. Sarah always said that great projects need a soundtrack." Olivia ran towards the piano in the music room, followed by other children from the center who practiced with her. Soon the notes of a cheerful melody filled the space, mixing with the conversations and laughter. "It's perfect," Rachel murmured, leaning on Nathan as they watched the twins lead an impromptu choir of children. "All of this, it's exactly as it should be." "You know what I was thinking?" Nathan responded quietly. "That maybe we should consider a wedding here when the center is finished." Rachel looked at him surprised, but before she could respond, Emma shouted from the piano, "I heard it! Uncle Nathan talked about a wedding." Laughter and applause filled the space, while Rachel hid her blushing face in Nathan's shoulder, and the twins began to plan the decoration for a wedding that hadn't yet been officially announced. And so, amid plans and dreams, coffee with cinnamon and improvised music, the future began to take shape, not just for the community center, but for an entire family that had found its way back home. A week after the accidental comment about the wedding, Nathan had carefully planned every detail with the secret help of the twins. The community center's library, the place where everything had really begun, was chosen as the setting for this special moment. "Are you sure Aunt Rachel doesn't suspect anything?" Emma whispered as she helped place the last lights that transformed the space into something magical. "She thinks it's a special meeting to discuss the final details of the expansion," Nathan responded, adjusting a garland of small lights between the shelves. Olivia, from her position next to the newly installed piano, softly practiced the melody she had composed especially for the occasion. The soft notes floated in the air, mixing with the aroma of the flowers that Jack had helped distribute strategically throughout the space. "Sarah adored gardenias," Jack commented, placing the last arrangement. "She said their perfume was like a hug." Nathan looked at his brother gratefully. "Thank you for helping me with this." "For everything, really. It's what family does," Jack responded with a smile. "Besides, the girls would never forgive me if I wasn't part of this." Pete appeared with a special tray, a cup of coffee with cinnamon, prepared exactly as it was that first afternoon in his cafe. "For the future, bride," he winked. "Are you ready?" Rachel just parked her car. The twins ran to their positions, Emma next to the books where she had hidden the ring, and Olivia at the piano. Jack positioned himself discreetly near the entrance with his camera, ready to capture the moment. When Rachel entered the library, she stopped short. The space she knew so well had been transformed. Soft light shimmered between the shelves, flowers perfumed the air, and Olivia began to play a sweet and familiar melody. "What is all this?" she asked, her eyes finding Nathan's amidst the golden light. "This," he responded, approaching, "is the beginning of a new chapter in our story." Emma approached with a book in her hands. The Little Prince, the same copy that Rachel had given Nathan months ago. "The book that gave me back the ability to see with the heart," Nathan continued, taking the book and opening it to a marked page. "Do you remember what it says here?" Rachel, with tears beginning to form in her eyes, read softly, "What is essential is invisible to the eye." For years, Nathan took her hands, I lived looking only at the superficial. Success measured in numbers, status, appearances. Until two little twin girls found me during a morning run and guided me to you. Olivia subtly changed the melody, incorporating notes from a song that Sarah used to sing to the girls. "Rachel," Nathan continued as Emma approached with a small box that had been hidden between the pages of the book, "you taught me to see what's essential, the value of a community, the importance of family, the beauty of building dreams together." He knelt, opening the box to reveal a simple but elegant ring. "Would you do me the honor of building many more dreams together? Of creating our own love story page by page?" Rachel, with tears now freely running down her cheeks, looked around, at the twins who were watching with bright eyes, at Jack capturing the moment with his camera, at Pete who was smiling from the door with a new tray of coffee. "Yes," she finally responded, her voice full of emotion. "1,000 times yes." The twins were the first to break the emotional silence with shouts of joy, running to hug the couple. Olivia transformed the melody into something more cheerful, and soon the entire library was filled with laughter and congratulations. "Now we can plan the real wedding," Emma exclaimed excitedly. "And I can play at the ceremony," Olivia added from the piano. "And we can make a new mural to celebrate," Emma continued. Rachel laughed through tears, hugging the girls. "Of course we can. I couldn't imagine this moment without you, without all our family." "To the family we choose," Pete proposed, serving coffee for everyone, "and to the one destiny gave us." Nathan observed the scene with his heart overflowing. His brother, his nieces, his future wife, all united in this space that had become the heart of his new life. The ring on Rachel's finger shimmered softly under the lights, but it was the glow in her eyes that truly illuminated the room. "You know what?" Rachel whispered, leaning on him as the twins excitedly discussed the wedding details. "Sarah was right." "About what?" "About love having mysterious ways of uniting people, and about second chances being gifts we should embrace with all our hearts." The weeks following the proposal passed in a whirlwind of activity. The community center had become the headquarters for planning, with the twins leading much of the preparations with contagious enthusiasm. "What if we have the ceremony right here?" Emma suggested one afternoon, while everyone shared a moment in the renovated library. "We could decorate the whole center, and the backyard would be perfect for the party. And we could plant a tree after the ceremony," Olivia added, "like the one in Uncle Nathan's mural." Rachel, seated next to her future husband, smiled at the suggestion. "It's a beautiful idea. A symbol of our new beginning, and of the roots we're creating together," Nathan completed, gently squeezing his fiancée's hand. Jack, who had been reviewing some documents for the foundation, looked up. "Sarah and I got married in her mother's garden. She always said that the most meaningful weddings are those that reflect who we really are. And this place is part of who we are," Rachel reflected. "This is where it all began." The twins exchanged knowing looks before Emma spoke again. "Aunt Rachel, can we ask you something important?" "Of course, my love. Can we call you Mom after the wedding?" The silence that followed was deep and emotional. Rachel felt tears beginning to form in her eyes as she looked at Jack, seeking his reaction. "Girls," Jack began softly, "you know that Sarah will always be your mum." "We know," Olivia interrupted. "But Aunt Rachel also takes care of us and loves us like a mum. Can't we have two?" Nathan watched the scene with a tight heart, remembering how these same girls had brought him back to family life months ago. Rachel knelt in front of the twins, taking their small hands in hers. "I would be deeply honored if you called me Mum, but only if you're completely sure and only if your dad agrees." Jack approached, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "Sarah would be happy to know that her girls have so much love in their lives." "Then it's decided," Emma smiled. "We'll get married here, plant a tree, and officially be a complete family." "We're already a complete family," Nathan gently corrected. "The wedding will just make it official on paper." Speaking of paper, Olivia intervened, pulling out a decorated notebook. We've been working on some ideas for the ceremony. The twins proceeded to show their plans. Detailed drawings of the decoration, a list of songs Olivia wanted to play, ideas for a new mural to commemorate the occasion. And we want everyone at the center to participate, Emma explained. The choir kids can sing, we can make decorations in the art workshops. Like a big community celebration, Rachel completed, understanding the girls' vision. Exactly, Olivia nodded. Because this wedding isn't just about you two, it's about all of us. Nathan looked around the library, the place where everything had started to change, the shelves full of books, the reading corner where he had learned to see the world differently, the photographs documenting the transformation, not just of the space, but of all of them. You know what, he finally said, the girls are right. This isn't just our wedding. It's the celebration of everything we've built together, of everything we'll continue to build, Rachel added, and of the love that brought us here, Jack completed. The twins smiled, satisfied to see how their ideas were received. Emma immediately took out her art materials, ready to start designing invitations, while Olivia headed to the piano to practice the songs she wanted to play at the ceremony. And so, amid plans and dreams, laughter and some tears, the family continued weaving their future, one thread at a time in the place that had witnessed their transformation and would now be the stage for their next chapter. The morning of the wedding dawned with a golden light that seemed to bless the community center. The twins had arrived at dawn with Jack, determined to supervise every detail of the decoration they had planned for weeks. The backyard had been transformed into an enchanted garden. Garlands of lights intertwined with natural flowers created an ethereal canopy over the chairs arranged in a semicircle. In the center, an arch decorated with gardenias, Sarah's favorite, marked the spot where Nathan and Rachel would exchange their vows. Do you think Mom Sarah would like all this? Olivia asked her father as she adjusted the ribbon of her lavender dress. Jack, elegant in his dark suit, crouched next to his daughter. She would love it, especially because you put so much love into every detail. Emma, who was returning from verifying the mural they had created especially for the occasion, joined them. The tree we're going to plant after the ceremony is ready, she announced proudly. The small olive tree waited in a pot decorated with motifs painted by the center's children. It represented not just Nathan and Rachel's new beginning, but the roots that the whole family had put down in this place. In one of the classrooms transformed into a bridal dressing room, Rachel was preparing with the help of some center volunteers. Her dress, elegant in its simplicity, had been chosen with the help of the twins. "The girls want to see you," one of the volunteers announced. Emma and Olivia came running in, stopping short when they saw Rachel. "You look like a princess," they exclaimed in unison. "Thanks to my little fairy godmothers," Rachel smiled, extending her arms towards them. "We have something for you," Emma said, pulling out a small box. "It's from Dad and our Mom Sarah." Inside the box was a delicate necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. Jack, who had entered silently, explained, "It was Sarah's. She always said that love has a mysterious way of completing incomplete circles." Rachel felt tears threatening to ruin her makeup. "It's perfect," she whispered as Jack helped her put on the necklace. Meanwhile, in the library, Nathan was finishing getting ready. Pete had insisted on being the one to help him with his tie. "Nervous?" the old man asked as he adjusted the knot. "Strangely calm," Nathan responded, as if everything in my life had been a path leading to this moment. The ceremony began at sunset. The guests, a mix of center families, volunteers, friends, and some of Nathan's former colleagues who barely recognized in this happy man the serious businessman he had been, took their places as Olivia began to play the piano. The melody, an original composition that blended notes from songs significant to the family, filled the air as Emma walked down the aisle, scattering flower petals. Behind her, Rachel advanced on Jack's arm, who had insisted on having the honor of giving her away. Nathan, waiting under the gardenia arch, felt his heart stop when he saw her. It wasn't just her physical beauty that moved him, but everything she represented. Love, hope, the second chance that had transformed his life. The vows were simple but profound, written with the help of the twins who insisted they should be like a fairy tale, but real. "Rachel," Nathan began, his voice firm despite the emotion, "I came to this center looking to reconnect with my family, and I found so much more. I found a purpose, a community, and in you I found the home I always searched for without knowing. I promise to honor every day the gift that is your love, and to continue building dreams together that benefit not just our family, but everyone around us." Rachel, with tears shining in her eyes, responded, "Nathan, you taught me that miracles exist in the most unexpected forms. In you I found a dream companion. In your nieces I found daughters. And in our love I found the certainty that everything is possible when hearts open to new beginnings. I promise to walk by your side in every adventure, celebrate every achievement, and face every challenge with love as our compass." When the officiant declared them husband and wife, joy erupted in applause and cheers. The twins ran to hug them, transforming the solemn moment into a family celebration. The planting of the olive tree was a special moment, with all those present symbolically participating by adding a little soil to the base of the tree. "This tree will grow with us," Emma declared solemnly, "and its roots will be as strong as our love." As the sun set and the lights began to shine more intensely, the celebration continued with music, dancing, and the unmistakable warmth of a united community. Pete served his famous cinnamon coffee, while the center's children ran among the guests, their laughter mixing with the music. Nathan and Rachel danced their first dance as spouses, surrounded by the love of their family and community, under the starry sky and the lights that the twins had helped hang. "Happy," Nathan whispered. "More than happy," Rachel responded. "Complete." 5 years had passed since that Sunday morning, when two little twin girls changed the course of many lives with a simple phrase, "I know you. Your photo is on Daddy's phone." The community center, now expanded and renovated, was buzzing with activity on a special afternoon of celebration. It was the 5th anniversary of the Living Hope Foundation, and the entire community had gathered to commemorate not only the achievements reached, but the transformation that had touched so many lives. The former backyard had been transformed into a beautiful community garden, presided over by the olive tree that now stood strong and lush, a silent witness to the love that had blossomed there. Emma, now a 13-year-old teenager with an increasingly notable artistic talent, was putting the finishing touches on the new mural that decorated the center's main entrance. In it, the tree she had painted years ago in Nathan's apartment was reproduced on a larger scale, but now its branches extended to tell the story of an entire community. "What do you think, Mum?" she asked Rachel, who was approaching with a 2-year-old toddler in her arms. "It's perfect, my love," Rachel responded, adjusting little Michael, named in honor of Grandma Mary, on her hip. "You've captured exactly what this place means to everyone." Olivia, who was rehearsing with the center's choir for the special presentation, joined them. Her voice, which had matured as much as her musical talent, now directed other children in the melodies that held so much meaning for their family. Nathan appeared with Jack, both busy with the last details of the celebration. The businessman who once lived isolated in his mansion was now a constant and beloved presence in the community, his executive suit replaced by casual clothes and a permanent smile. "The scholarship program already has its first graduates," Nathan commented proudly, "and 3 of them have decided to come back as volunteers." "Like a circle completing itself," Jack nodded, observing how his daughters had become examples for the center's younger children. Pete, who had expanded his cafe within the center as they had planned, was serving his famous cinnamon coffee to the guests who were beginning to arrive. His small business had become a training program for young people in the community, fulfilling his dream of creating opportunities for others. "Do you remember when we first served you coffee?" Nathan asked Rachel, while little Michael played with his tie. "As if it were yesterday," she smiled. Who would have imagined that a cup of cinnamon coffee would be the beginning of all this? The twins approached to hug their parents, both biological and of the heart. The family they had built was a testament that love knows no limits or labels. "Look," Emma pointed towards the olive tree. "The gardenia flowers we planted around it are in full bloom. Mom Sarah would love to see them." "She sees them," Jack responded softly. "In each of your smiles, in every life we touch here." The celebration officially began with Olivia's choir performing a special song, composed by her, that told the story of how love can transform lives and unite hearts. The attendees listened emotionally, many of them part of that story from the beginning. Nathan, with his son in his arms and surrounded by his family, observed the scene with an overflowing heart. The void he once felt in his life of luxury had been filled with something money can't buy: true love, purpose, and the warmth of a united family and community. "What are you thinking about?" Rachel asked, intertwining her fingers with his. "About how two little girls who recognized me on a Sunday morning led me to the home I always sought without knowing it," he responded, gently kissing her hand. The twins, now turned into talented teenagers, continued to be the heart of the family. Emma with her art, Olivia with her music, both carrying forward the legacy of love and service they had helped build. The community center had become a model to follow, inspiring similar projects in other neighborhoods. But more than its material achievements, its true success was measured in transformed lives, in fulfilled dreams, in second chances seized. "Family," Olivia called from the piano. "It's time for the family photo." Everyone gathered under the olive tree, the tree they had planted on the wedding day and that now symbolized the growth of their love. The gardenias perfumed the air, like a hug from Sarah from heaven. "This is our true success," Nathan whispered as the photographer prepared. "Not the buildings, not the programs, but this, a family united by love, a community that supports each other, a place where dreams can flourish." And as the camera flash captured the moment, everyone's hearts beat in unison, celebrating not just 5 years of foundation, but the love story that had transformed so many lives, beginning with two little twin girls who dared to speak to a stranger on a Sunday morning. Dear listeners, did you enjoy this story of love, family, and second chances? To continue this emotional journey, we've prepared more equally captivating stories. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. Your comments inspire us to keep sharing stories that touch the heart. We'll be waiting for you on the next adventure.